Hello there, everybody. Happy Wednesday. It has indeed been a while. My name is Jenna O'Malley. I'm your soul writer. It's great to be here with you at the Soul Bard Collective. Today, before we get into our weekly poll of the midweek sip from the Cup of Positivity, just a couple of announcements. I know I missed streaming and doing things last Sunday, but the next couple of weekends, the Writing to Heal podcast is going a little bit on vacation because not only is the Heart Breathings writing community hosting their virtual writing retreat weekend this coming weekend, but I will also be at 4-State Comic-Con in Hagerstown, Maryland. Go check my main channel, Jenna the Soul Writer, for more information. So let's go ahead and get into the Cup of Positivity. I want to keep this kind of the shortest of all the live streams we do together on this channel. So if you're just joining in, do welcome for your midweek sip and let me know how you're doing. So this thing's almost all the way full because on my main channel, we're to here and almost empty. So let's go ahead and see what advice we can rip off of today. What all do we have? So, Cup of Positivity. Albert Einstein, life is like riding a bicycle. Do indeed keep your balance, but keep moving. Yeah, it's that whole old mantra that stage and theater and Hollywood keep saying, the show, it's not that it must go on. It doesn't stop for you, literally, in some cases. And Einstein was quite observant for his time to note that. And sometimes it's a muscle memory thing since he mentions riding a bicycle. Oh, yeah. There's some sort of, even if it's mental athleticism, there's some sort of athleticism about getting yourself up and doing it again, even if it doesn't feel good. He says to keep your balance. Sometimes we got to do things that we don't like to do in order to stay in balance where we need to be, i.e., in order for me to enjoy cooking food, sorry, everybody, and more importantly, consuming it, I need to do the dishes. Or in order to enjoy my time writing, I also have to sometimes learn to enjoy my time editing by comparison. Therefore, appropriately so, do not ever in a million years doubt your worth. I mean, is that the bicycle you keep falling off of? Is it? That's definitely going back to what I said with that mental athleticism, doesn't it? But it's also a balance. We're definitely living in a time and in an age where we're told this world is not always built for us. It feels as if no matter, for some of us, how hard we try, we have to work 3 to 5 times harder than others to get the same results. Sherry, it's so good to see you. And yes, Einstein's accurate. I mean, there's a balance to that. I taught K-12 for a long time, so I had to sometimes look at my students and say, this could be the suckiest day ever because it's day one. And it's kind of true. If you're doubting your worth, every day feels like day one, though, to be fair, and it shouldn't. So keep some balance. If you don't believe in you first, how can you expect anybody else to do it? That takes courage. That's why this whole being a creative person from the soul thing takes courage, because to kind of quote one of my favorite songwriters of all time, Charlotte Vessels, formerly of the band Delain, Delain, she says in one of her songs, take off your mask so the world can see the freak inside of you. And to her, the word, as someone from Europe, she has said in interviews that the word freak to me just means who you really are, that you're afraid to be. And that couldn't apply to anybody. Sometimes the athlete is afraid to be the junk food junkie, couch potato gamer. And sometimes the gamer is the person who's afraid to go out and socialize. And sometimes the author who has the YouTube channels that loves doing what she does has crushing social anxiety in large groups sometimes. Believe it or not, that's me. So I'm kind of understanding that, sometimes we have this doubt creep in, and how much do we listen to it? Exactly, Sherry. That's why it takes some people. Goodness, the old story of Grandma Moses. I grew up in a family where literally my older half brothers, their dad, whom passed away, gifted them the last name Moses. So I've heard this story. She is not related to them, but when you can borrow, you borrow. Anyway, the whole story of Grandma Mosey, she's one of the most prolific painters of all time. She was in her 80s. There's somebody I mentioned quite a bit called Mine. She is Hi Jess, it's good to see you, sweetie. There's a person in my life called Mine. She is my husband's grandmother. So she's my grandmother-in-law, but they call her Mine. So all of us who married in and whom she adopts, because we're adopted before we were married in, or we apparently don't get to marry in. That's the curse. Curse, not curse. Anyway, Mine, she's a prolific painter well into her 80s. She was a quilter well until her almost 90s, and her hand and her eyes were like, look, woman, we just can't no more. And it's self-confidence. Like, seriously, since she's a different person now that she's not quilting. Now that she's in a nursing home now, and now that she doesn't have her quilting room, finding balance for her is sometimes all she does in a day. And it's very disheartening for me because I call her the other self-published writer in the family, because she has dabbled in self-publishing. She's just retold family stories. I've actually done live readings that are over on my bigger channel. Stuck in Room 403, I think, is one of them. And she did until her body wouldn't let her anymore. And I see more doubt in her eyes whenever I see her. And it manifested into something we don't know if it's dementia or Alzheimer's, but as you get older, sometimes your body won't let you do what kept you moving. So you got to really learn the balance of adapting. Sometimes you can't ride the bicycle. So, okay, can I trade out the bicycle we do chair dancing over on Mel's channel. And that's one of the reasons why I love Disco Chad over at Power Play Press so much, because chair dancing for most of us is accessible. For the most part, all of us can do a little bit of this and get a little bit of motion moving, right? And yeah, both of you in chat with me live, you deserve to have all the self-confidence. And yeah, I see you two slay fear all the time. All the time. So actually, you two are doing this. I'm looking down. I've got two more in hand. And Henry David Thoreau says, live your beliefs and you can turn the world around. I've seen you two do that, not in my own chats. I've seen you do that in other people's chats. That's part of that keeping moving and knowing your balance, right? It's okay for, quote, the suck to suck for a day, but you two normally rebound back quite quick. And it's because of this. In our community, we don't say this. President Roosevelt, Theodore Roosevelt, says, believe you can and you're halfway there. I mean, in my opinion, showing up for writing sprints is half the battle. Once I get there, whatever I create in that container, in that sector of my life, is almost sacred sometimes. And that's why I think it does bring balance to my life to do what I do. I get asked, does this seem exhausting to you? It used to be on camera all the time, but with all of you, I adore it. And you make it so easy and so welcoming just to be myself. And that's why it's halfway there. Getting comfortable with authentic you, that balance is required. I love this. You played the flute and it was everything. Then you got, yeah. crushed it for years. I used to play trumpet, so I understand this. I literally had to choose. As an asthmatic, I had to choose between my lungs being able to handle playing the trumpet or singing. My lungs couldn't handle both all year round. So I picked singing because I carry the instrument. But I haven't been in a choir since I was 22, 23. I don't it's literally that getting back on the bicycle. It hurts to sing now. Even if I warm up first, it hurts. And halfway there now is what a quarter of the way there was 10 years ago. So keep that in mind. That's why finding your balance kind of changes out, and you kind of learn to accommodate and give yourself grace. Because guess what, my friends? If you can't give yourself grace, you can't expect the rest of us to give it to you. Okay? We're going to follow your example. I mean, if you need it, I'll hug you, but it goes into that whole thing of I believe I should feed you the fish and teach you how to fish. Let me give you a hug and convince you. You've been worth it from the beginning. Don't doubt you. Again, I say, you've always been worth it.